Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. It is August the 11th, year 2021. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another Facebook Live session. I hope everyone is doing well and enjoying their summer or almost end of summer. I think in some states in the US, the schools are starting back for summer, after summer. And all the parents must be getting into this whole cycle of trying to get kids to school. And it is normal school here in Texas. I heard they're not even doing plexiglass separation, Eileen. So before we start, I wanted to introduce our panel today. Welcome, panel. It is always so good to see everyone. Good evening. So we are joined by Kelly, who is our Qigong teacher. Good evening, Kelly. And he's a spiritual teacher as well. And I see that Caesar has joined as well. He is our channel and spiritual teacher on the panel. Good evening, Caesar. And then we are joined by April, she has various modalities of healing. Reiki, she is a psychic and a medium and a spiritual teacher. Good evening, April. And our incredibly amazing Eileen that keeps us all streamlined and provides her own insights. Good evening, Eileen. And so I wanted to actually bring up something that was incredibly amazing that happened with us. Some of us are trying to set up a workshop in September. And I just wanted to show all of you what happens when we are that grounded in presence, that our brilliant co-creator, Summer, in a few months back, had asked me, Lakshmi, every time when we do a group meditation, always brings up some Sanskrit mantras, or she tells us the meaning of the Sanskrit mantra, like she recites it, and then she tells us the meaning. And so Summer had the suggestion that, hey, can you have her record the Sanskrit mantras? And of course I did. And Lakshmi was kind enough to oblige, and so we put it up on the YouTube channel, shared it within the group. Now, while setting up the workshop, and this is the synchronicity that happens, that you don't know a few months back, why did you record that video, right? You have no idea why planetary intelligence ever asked you, hey, and planetary intelligence working through Summer asked you, hey, can you record this video? And Summer has been like, there is something about Summer that is very, very deeply connected to source, because the things that she says, sometimes it's like, I don't know why she's saying it, but I need to follow it. And so my suggestion to everyone is honor and hold sacred no matter who is coming across your path. You don't know why this person is coming across your path and asking you that question. And that is why when we bring up questions during the Facebook Live Q&A, it's like, no matter who said what, the insight, listen to the insight. Look at the comments online, look at your all the participants, all the attendees that are commenting online, look at their insights, because you don't know, somehow planetary intelligence through Lakshmi may be saying something to Gracie. I mean, it's just not the panel. It's just not Caesar saying something, or Eileen saying something, or Kelly saying something, or April saying something, or Travis saying something. It could be anyone. And listen, keep your ears open, in the sense, keep your ears of your spirit open and listen. And so if I wouldn't have listened to Summer, I wouldn't readily have had this content. And I was able to use the content as an example for the other session leaders so that they would know what content to produce, right? I just had to post that link and everybody else understood, hey, this is what we need, a little bit of an intro to whatever we are doing. So, oh, Lakshmi says she's excited to know about the dimensions, third, fifth, and seventh. We'll get into that. The first question I had, let me post. This was from Michelle. And Eileen, did you want to read that question? Is it true that?
I can. Sorry, I'm still looking for the other question. Is it true that as one grows in presence awareness, less identification with ego, non-attachment, non-reactive, etc., there are less tests that life presents to awaken you?
April, did you want to start? Since you and Eileen were here first, so the first comers get first chance.
My initial reaction is no, sort of. Life doesn't stop. You don't get less test per se, but they become not so much test, if that makes sense. So life doesn't stop. You know, everybody's tire goes flat, everybody's grandma passes away, everybody's dog dies. Those things don't stop because that's life. That's the ebb and flow of life. What does happen is they seem to be less like test. You are not as attached with the ego and with the responsiveness and reactiveness. You are more in acceptance of, oh, okay, it is time for my dog to pass away. That doesn't mean that you don't feel it, or perhaps you're not hurt or you're not sad. But the time that you are sad or hurt is much less. So I think the lessons become not as hard. They're not as difficult, but you will still be tested per se. The other thing is, the reason why I say kind of, no, kind of, is because I do think that when you learn presence and you learn acceptance and awareness and you manage your vibration, you do manage to manifest less tests. That doesn't mean they're going to completely go away, but you do, when your vibration is high and that is the signal you're projecting out, then you attract less negative, you attract less lessons. And I think the lessons are different as you move up the scale, up the dimensions. The lessons become different lessons than when you're still struggling to awaken and figure out who you are and that you're really spirit and everything seems like a test. When you move up the dimensions, the lessons become different.
Beautiful. Thank you, April. Eileen, did you want to say something about this?
Sure. I guess I was pretty much going to say sort of what April said, that they would definitely lessen. I don't know that they could completely go away. There would probably be more and more space in between. I mean, we're humans and we're having this human experience. So, but they definitely would lessen. I know mine have lessened significantly. That doesn't mean I don't have them, but I notice them when they come. And I usually am aware of where they came from. So, kind of what April was saying anyway.
Beautiful. Even Sadhguru says there's a, like in his book Karma, he says there's a total, I'm going to explain it in a very simplified manner. He had a complex, long explanation, but there's like a total karma, and we only get a little portion in our lifetime. And as we clear it, the next download comes, right? So it's like if he thought that, okay, we learned our lessons and we are done. So what both of you are saying, yeah, it does come through. It may be that we handle it differently. Now we do it with awareness. And doing it with awareness, I also feel the solution arises faster. Before we would be bogged down with, oh, it's such a huge problem. Oh, look at my life, so miserable. My life, we just spiraled, right? Instead of spiraling, we just face on, like, bring the sword of presence. That's what Eckhart says, right? We bring the sword of presence and cut it out. We say, okay, this is the present moment. And what am I supposed to do? My dog died, like April said. You have to give it a burial, or however you want to give it a cremation, give the dog cremation and process the grief. It's not like a story, oh, my best friend died and now I'm going to spiral into grief, kind of. Thank you, Eileen. Kelly, did you want to add on to this? And then we can go to the next question after Caesar response. Thank you.
I agree with what April and Eileen have said. I'll add on to this. Definite no. The tests never stop. The refinement of awareness is one of those eternal things. It doesn't matter what quote unquote level you are or how advanced you are. The tests get different because you get stronger in holding your own space. And the little petty ego attachment tests stop because you have control and you have discipline over your awareness and your ability to be present. What changes is the deeper aspects of collective and family and societal karmic patterning and conditioning tests, where you work at clearing deeper aspects of your karmic body, or what people call pain body. The reality of raising your vibration means that in one way you'll attract more tests that are more challenging, but you'll become sort of invisible to the lower level astral and mental projections that most people throw around casually because they're unconscious. The way that progression happens, from my experience, is through discipline and control of your awareness and being able to be emotionally responsible. And this is stopping the mind from swinging from one emotion to another, or spiraling into a drama or getting hooked into someone else's issue. The way that spiritual evolution happens through stillness, happens through being present. And even myself, it's like I am constantly tested every day. I will have people push at me. I'll have family push at me. They don't even have to be in the room and I can feel them pushing at me. There are people that I'm connected to that, I can feel their astral projection. I can feel their ego projection because we're so connected. And I have to, you flip that script. You get stuff thrown at you and you do it as if the person's in the room with you, where you stop the inner chatter, the negative inner chatter, and you turn it around and you stop it and you sort of set it off, set sail, let it set sail on the little pond of stillness that you're holding for yourself. Or, give it a Viking burial and light it on fire. The evolution of awareness comes with different depths of testing. The main thing that people are generally working on when they are first becoming aware of their ego attachments is not judging oneself and not beating oneself up. And this is where the discipline with the mind and stopping the internal script and being emotionally responsible and not throwing oneself under the bus becomes really, really important. The tests never stop. The eternal refinement of awareness and our God presence, our internal presence, our connection to source is something that happens whether or not you're manifesting in the third dimension the way we are, or the first 8 dimensions the way we are, or physically embodying the way we are, or whether or not you're like, you know, even angels, even divas, even elementals. They're all going through their own evolution. And they all have tests, and it's all about being connected with self and with source. So, you know, once you achieve a certain level of stillness, the tests don't get harder, although in some ways they are harder because you're more aware of yourself and you are given more opportunity to dig through deeper layers of your awareness and your personality and your identity and those barriers that keep us from being blocked and available to our alignment with source.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Kelly. And like we can see for the past year, 8 months, because of the pandemic, even people like Eckhart and Tony Robbins and anybody that is a thought leader, Byron Katie, right? All these people earn money by holding events with their large gatherings. They are about, like Tony Robbins, they say he hosts gatherings of 70,000 people in one stadium, right? So 17,000 people, where are they since last year? And for Eckhart, having 4,000, 5,000 people in a music hall, or like he travels to Miami, he travels to Boston. I know Eileen had signed up for the Boston, and I don't know how many times it has been postponed already. 3 times it's been postponed. So they've not been able to hold their events. So look at his level of awareness and look at the major tests he's been given. They've not been able to earn money since last year, the traditional way that they've been earning money for past 20, 30 years, right? Their traditional way is to host an event and get thousands of people and get thousands of people to pay for entry into the event. And that event is like 2,000-3,000. The entry is like 2,000 or something. Like Eckhart's retreats are like $2,000. The 4 or 5 day retreat is like $2,000. So just imagine he's not earned that level of money. So challenges are offered to anybody and everybody. But I'm sure that they're very surrendered. Like people, that's what we were watching in the Power to Pivot, right? They pivot quickly. Like they quickly pivoted to hosting virtual events, and the solution arises, right? At least in this day and age, the technology was available that people were able to host the Zoom events and earn money that way. He offered quite a few courses last year. Eckhart did the conscious manifestation course, and then they did Be the Light or something of that sort. So that's a great example of seeing that challenges don't go away. Thank you, Kelly. Caesar, did you want to say something about this?
Sure.
The contrast, as you would say.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at it as, I'm going to say, unpleasant events that you're referring to as tests, when you mention that as you grow in present awareness, everything in a sense, is a test, because what we do on our journey is practice. So we don't necessarily have to look at the things that happen as tests, because when pleasant things happen, we don't call them tests, yet we still are able to extract lessons. Tests, I believe, what you are referring to as unpleasant situations, perhaps. And Kelly mentioned the fact about the frequency. So when tests occur, personally, I like to just kind of see where the point of attraction was in what created my test. Sometimes things are uncontrollable, like, a death of a dog, which is can be extremely hurtful. It's like losing a child. But what does that really got to do with a test? One might ask themselves, because it wasn't personal. You're not supposed to take anything personal, so you can't really validate that as a test. But nevertheless, tests can be used as course corrections. They kind of let us know where we are at in our vibrational frequency, based on the course of events that show up or keep showing up in your life. So how one would handle tests? Well, first of all, the answer to the question is no. They don't lessen. I just think we kind of master them, the lighter things, easier, because if we are truly in our practice, I think that's what we do. Practice what we learn and what we know and what we feel. The things that were possibly once a challenge become second nature. Our reaction to it more or less becomes second nature. So they don't seem like tests. So the bigger things are, everything is an opportunity, or you could call it a test. And I'll give you a brief example. Somebody chewing loudly at a table irritates you. And so you would call that an irritation, yes. And then you get up to go to the bathroom at the restaurant, and as you go to the bathroom, everybody you pass by is chomping their food. And you're like, oh. When you accept the isness of that, surrender to the isness or the situation, it no longer is an irritation. It is now an opportunity. An opportunity to what? To do what we do, to practice. Practice what? Practice acceptance, practice presence power, and things of that nature. So, yeah, I believe it is important to just try to extract everything you can. I like to everything to me is more or less a lesson. I always try to learn something out of everything, no matter what, whether it's good or bad. I know we learn more from the valleys than we do the mountaintops, but that helps us to continue to grow. When you have that awareness of what is really taking place around you, not that it's important or not, or a test or not. The fact that you have placed your awareness on the present moment alleviates the need to worry about a test, or to even consider it being a test. Because at the end of the day, them tests really are just what they are. It is what it is, whatever it is. No need to label them as tests. But so the answer is no, the tests don't get less, and perhaps we don't recognize them as much or consider them to be tests anymore. But we have 1,001 opportunities through the course of the day to practice. Like I said, them little irritations, and every moment is an opportunity. We are, quite frankly, possibilities. Yes. So, yeah, that'd be my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Caesar. It's like even the pandemic, like for me, the pandemic was the greatest blessing on the face of this earth, because I didn't have to get into traffic. I started working from home. And because I started working from home, look how much more I'm available. Again, I was able to do the group meditations. I was able to do the Facebook Q&A much more easily. I mean, I was doing it even while I was traveling back and forth from work, but now that stress is gone. The stress of getting into traffic was gone. Then there's this thing about what Abraham Hicks says, right, Caesar? Like she calls these events where there was a test or a challenge presented, she calls it the contrast. The contrast is given so that there is a higher rocket of desire. The desire from the humans, the collective, becomes higher to get into the next level, right? So if we see some kind of cruelty towards an animal, our desire will be, why can't people be more compassionate towards animals, right? So the pandemic, now look at how many, like all the scientists would have gone, can we build a vaccine that is much more quicker than 18 months or 12 months or however, then all the airline industry would have, the rocket of desire from them would be, can we build a much more cleaner, like in schools, aren't they trying to do filters that will prevent all the viruses? And just imagine, like when we had kids that were little, always sickness came from the kid. The kids that had all the snot all over them, and now the kid is bringing sickness to us. Now we are coming down with the cold, right? So if they had better air filters, they had better cleaning in schools. So it's not a test. The challenge is given, but then humans, the challenge is given for us to go to the next level, right? The rocket of desire needs to be a little bit more, but we are always, what does she call it? We are always on the leading edge. We are always going towards that infinite possibility, like you said, Caesar. That's our possibility, that infinity, right? So thank you. Grateful, humbled by that response. Thank you so much. So Kelly, did you want to take, because Lakshmi has been wanting this, right, Eileen? This was going to be the can of worms that you were going to open, Kelly?
Sure.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
she wants you to open that can of worms.
Wow, there's a big spider crawling on the wall over there. Ha. Okay, note to self. Dimensions. Okay. So we are all multidimensional beings. One of the things that seems to be very unknown is that every layer of tissue, as in fascia, the layers of tissue that go down to our bones, including the ones in our bones, correspond to a layer of dimensional energy outside of us in our aura or our EMF field. So this is one of the reasons why breath is so important, is to regulate and refine the movement of blood in the body through those tissues so that you can dissolve tension in the body and help heal trapped energy and heal trauma through just the breath and being present with yourself. I'm wondering if Lakshmi has any specific questions, because this is a huge topic. One of the things that I remember talking about, I guess it was last week, was about the emanations of creation. And this is before you actually get to the specific dimensional energies or dimensions that can be around a planetary object. So you actually have sort of like it's like growth rings in a tree. Creation has basically growth rings or emanations, where you have that center point of everything, and then everything, how it's expanded outward from that center point, like growth rings on a tree. And It's the vibrational frequencies of energy surrounding a thing or embedded in a thing that are a reflection of the dimensions that are anchored to that thing, that person, that planet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So those of us who are incarnating in the third dimension of physical reality here on this very physical planet are also interacting with many layers of reality all at the same time. A simple way to put this is that the human eye only sees a certain spectrum of light. When there's a huge variety of actual frequencies of light that our human eyes never ever see. We can kind of, feel it sometimes when we go outside, and we can feel the UVA, the UVB, the ultraviolet light on our skin. That's a physical point of reference for actually feeling another aspect of dimensional reality is the actual energy from the sun. We actually feel it as a physical thing. There are layers to reality that when you sort of get past the third dimension and you get into the fourth dimension is actually split into a higher and lower realm. And you have sort of denser energies in the lower realm, and you have the higher energies that we would call angels, divas, beings of light in the upper fourth dimension. Certain other beings who are less fun to talk about inhabit the lower fourth dimension. And this is sort of where the concept of the division between heaven and hell comes from, is because you have these different frequencies, these different energies that exist. They kind of coexist, but they don't, and they sort of split a realm in half. Understanding dimensional information requires very strong discipline, very, very strong personal awareness, very strong ability to discern how different energies feel. Because the energy from a person versus the energy from a cat, or the energy from a horse or a dog, they all feel different. You can actually use animals very, very effectively to train yourself to feel the difference. All you have to do is just pay attention. It takes a little while, but animals are great that way. And they let you know what's up. The first dimension is actually the elemental realm. And this is sort of a realm that we have a lot of stories about in every culture, about little people or elves or the Shi, the Fae. This is where the whole concept of the Tuatha De Danann kind of comes into play, because you have elementals working with humans, helping humans, supporting the earth. And you have civilizations and races of other beings that exist solely in the fifth dimension, where we can never ever see them visibly with the naked eye, because their frequency and vibration is literally like UV light. You can only see it if you know how to turn on that button. So you have all these layers of dimensional realities are included in every single layer of emanation from the center of creation. And some of these concepts get really sort of complex, and they can be convoluted, and it's a lot of information. And again, being present, being aligned with source, and being able to hold your space in your heart is essential to be able to access any of this, to be able to feel it, and to also process the information when you come into contact with it. And this is sort of one of the big things in New Age communities that people have experiences where they'll come into contact with some of this information, and their nervous system will get fried, or they'll get emotionally triggered and literally have a psychotic break because they are not strong enough with their emotional discipline to hold their space while they process the information. And it's tricky. I mean, especially because you have your ego that wants to cause chaos and loves to mess with you and feed you illusions. So being able to discern the difference in feelings, and so that you can understand what kind of information you're actually connecting with from what kind of vibration or dimension, is really, really important. I mean, this is one of the first things that I learned years ago when I learned how to channel. It was just sort of like, you have to have this sequence. You have to set up your energy. You have to be present. You have to be grounded. You have to be rooted. You have to do all of these things to prepare yourself, because sometimes you have beings who are not so nice come and want to mess with you and want to attach and feed off of the chaos and the fear. Again, this is why being able to be disciplined with our awareness is so important, because if you are disciplined, you can negate pretty much all of the chaos, all of the projections from any negative energies that you can and will end up coming into contact with. And also just the level of information when you open yourself up can be really, really intense. And it's really important to have a toolbox to be able to deal with processing that information. So, I mean, I could go on and on and on about, in this dimension, this happens, in this dimension, that happens, but there are like lots of books out there on those topics. There are some good websites online, one of which, and again, some of the information is also very mental. There's a lot of stuff out there that actually talks about things in a very linear mental way, and just blasting information out there, just doesn't sort of have any context or explanation, and just sort of like throws all the information out there. Now, unless there's actually a specific information, a specific question, or if anyone on the panel has like a specific question, what's really important is to understand that there is a lot out there that the normal portions or mainstream portions of society is not aware of, don't want to be aware of, and will most likely never ever be aware of, because it doesn't fit their comfortable little box in their comfortable little bubble, which is fine. Some people are here on the planet to just experience the ride, and you got to respect that, because anyone that is here is an advanced soul, because there's so much information on this planet. It's a little ridiculous. From my understanding, everything that I've read and experienced and what I've had elders tell me, is that there are very few places in the entire galaxy where you have so many books books. Well, to be perfectly honest, the Ascended Masters Teaching Foundation website has books you can download. Stuff that I got into, almost 30 years ago now. And it's amtf.org or amtf.com. And they have books that you can download in e-format, and they explain the electronic universe and how everything's structured. And it's a lot of information. I just, my interpretation is my interpretation, and everyone should have their own personal experience with that. So if you actually want to go and find some books on this, go and look up the Ascended Masters Teaching Foundation. And again, this sort of gets into another aspect of multidimensionality, is concepts and information that have been hidden from, mainstream society because it doesn't fit the mainstream narrative, right? Jesus was what is referred to as an ascended master. There have been hundreds and thousands of ascended masters on this planet in the last few eras of human civilization. I'm not talking about the last 10,000 years. I'm talking about the last 200 or 500,000 years. Human history is not what I'm one of these people who believe quite unequivocally that human history is way, way, way bigger than what we've been taught. And I got into sort of some of the, what really hooked me was realizing that some of the Qigong that I was learning paralleled some of the information that I was reading in the Ascended Masters Teaching Foundation books. How the mind works, how the body works, the stuff that I learned about medical Qigong, again, parallels, just perfect parallels. So why I reference this stuff and refer to this stuff is because it, I've seen the parallels in Eastern thought concepts, metaphysics, Western European thought concept, metaphysics, and First Nation concepts and metaphysics. So as far as I'm concerned, it's some of the best information out there. There's a lot of information. And if you've noticed how Eckhart Tolle started talking a lot more about the I am, right? This is the I am methodology that I'm talking about. And it explains in these books, it explains the structure of your energy bodies and all of the ways that you can interact with your awareness and cultivate your awareness and use the I am presence and the I am methodology to help yourself, help others, and evolve spiritually. But it's a lot of work. It's just like everything else with dealing with the the pain body and being present and developing presence power, because everything that Eckhart talks about in terms of presence power is exactly all about aligning with source, aligning with your higher self, and understanding your connection to your Christ self, or the light of I was actually reading this just the other day. The information explains all the layers of your spiritual bodies. So, if people want to go and find them. Oh, Eileen, answer to Zachary is like, how many dimensions? I'd conjure a guess at sort of over 300. And yes, transition movement between some of the experience I've had in ceremony. We're watching beings materialize and then dematerialize, or having animal spirits like walk past and just fade into air is sort of, really convincing when you could literally feel like, their hair brush against your leg or their paw, or you can literally like hear them breathe, and then they just like dematerialize into, that's something that I experienced at a Sundance. So yes, definite movement between dimensions. And again, having the discipline to be present, to be emotionally present. And this is one of the reasons why I really appreciate Eckhart's work, is because he does such a good job of breaking down all of the steps that you need to understand the ego to be present. And being present and aligned with source is one of the most important things, regardless of all this information about dimensions and stuff like that. None of it matters unless you can be present. I'll stop there because, this
So
is
is jumping dimensions, is it, I think, because people have a confusion, like if I'm going to fifth dimension, which is what we're doing now,
Oh, okay.
where am I going? Like, where's that at? Is that at Mars? Like,
It's right here.
but it's not actually that we're going to get up and go
No.
somewhere. Right.
No, it's the evolution of integrating all of, or more and more of our expanded dimension into our present 3D reality. So evolving into the fifth dimension means that you are going to become more aware. You're going to be more sensitive. You're going to be more aware. You're going to be stronger.
So it's changing our beliefs and our perception and tuning into those frequencies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's basically getting rid of even more illusion. This sort of goes beyond just ego attachment. This is actually like the illusions of how everything works on the global scale, the cultural scale, the family scale. And this is ironically, as unfortunate as it is with what's going on with the current situation that we're calling a pandemic, and I will add a bucket of personal sarcasm to that, but things are changing. People are seeing the things that they haven't wanted to see about themselves because they're being tested. We're having a global a global event here of everyone going, okay, you've been asking for it, so guess what? I know this isn't exactly what you thought you wanted, but this is how it's going to go, because there's so much that needs to be brought to light. There's so much that we need to reevaluate about how we all function, how we actually look at things. So moving into the fifth dimension, we're not going to get up and suddenly be on Mars. As cool as an idea as that is, moving into the fifth and sixth dimensions, or moving through dimensions, evolving, means that you are holding that vibration. You personally begin to operate. Your heart has opened up enough, your connection to source is strong enough that you personally are holding that vibration. The planet has already moved into the fifth, sixth dimension. And that's one of the reasons why we have so much shaking up right now, is because the planet's going, tick tock, y'all. It's time to get up and boogie. So yeah, it's not an actual relocation. It's simply that your heart has opened up enough. You are strong enough. You are anchoring that energy, that information, and that vibration.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Beautiful. April, did you want to say something about these multi-dimensionality of existence?
Dimensions is a, well, maybe not for Kelly, but for most people, it's a very confusing concept. What is a dimension? What do you mean? Where am I going? What is that? But from what I know, from what I understand, we have all these different dimensions. With the third dimension is of course, everybody knows that's where we're at. This is where we can touch and feel things, which is the reason why we're here. Because in these higher dimensions, you can't necessarily eat an apple pie. That's why you're here, to actually experience it in the physical form. But the reason I asked Kelly that question is because I've had people ask me, well, where am I going when I go to this other dimension? And you're not actually going anywhere. It is you evolving. It is your energy matching the energy of that dimension. And you do that through presence power. And everybody wants the seventh dimension. And if you've ever looked up like the story, the theory, or you can call it the history of Atlantis, they talk a lot about being in the higher dimensions, that they weren't actually solid human beings with bodies and flesh, because they're more etheric. And that's why I think that if I think everybody notices at this point that time is speeding up. And it's not just that when I was a kid, you know, the adults would say, oh, time goes so fast. And the kids, like, I felt like it dragged, like I never got out of school. Like, could I please the end of school come? Because it was like, God, but it really is speeding up. It really is moving faster now. And that is part of us going into these dimensions because the frequency is higher, it's faster. So, you know, that's my only little tidbit on it, is for people to understand that it's more about evolving within yourself and your soul and your spirit, your perception, your beliefs, than it is that we are actually going somewhere. And if you want to get there, you have to go through your energy system, your chakras, your heart to get there.
Beautiful. Thank you, April. And between Kelly and you, since Kelly brought up the electromagnetic frequency, if I can say the word, there was in year 2011, I don't know if it was Wake Up or there was this person, Jonas Elrod, that created a short movie, and he talked about, like, he could see auras. Like, if he looked at Kelly, he could probably see Kelly's grandfather over his shoulder and could see the aura of the person, right? And so he went on this quest, and the whole Oprah was doing this show called Super Soul Sunday, and they would play like a interview. She would have a conversation with a thought leader like Eckhart or Dr. Wayne Dyer or Byron Katie or somebody. And then after that hour-long program, they would have 2 hours of a short movie. And this one, Wake Up, was one of them. And they were talking about, he went on a quest, what is this aura thing that I'm seeing? So he interviewed scientists, he traveled to Europe, and they did all kinds of tests on him. And it's the electromagnetic frequency, which we talk about on Sacred Acoustics, that we are in the delta theta frequencies. The more our vibrational frequency rises, we are in that invisible electromagnetic spectrum. And that is what we are talking about, that the multidimensionality is accessible to you at those frequencies. Now, do you call it higher or lower? Is it low? On the electromagnetic frequency, it is higher, even though it says 6 hertz and 3 hertz and what have you. So that is what is multidimensionality, that you're going higher on the electromagnetic spectrum, which is not, it's the invisible spectrum. And like Kelly says, it's the heart. And that was one of the, I think it's the Heart Map Institute or something. They said that the we kind of think that our brain is the one that is creating everything, but it's the heart, the beating of the heart and the electromagnetic frequency of the heart is what is vibrationally raising our frequency. And I think that's why Dr. Joe Dispenza says it's brain-heart coherence. When we are coherent, then we are getting those elevated emotions of loving kindness, compassion, gratitude, right? So as long as the more higher, and it's just not experiencing loving kindness, gratitude, just on the face of it. It's like actually palpable thickness of the experience, right? That you're really experiencing those, and that's when you're moving into the higher dimensions. I feel that's what we're talking about. So Caesar, did you want to say something about this? Thank you.
Sure, briefly. Love the explanations from Kelly and April. Very nice. Yeah, a frequency, more or less as Kelly had put it, in regards to what is actually here in front of us and around us at all times. And what is our ability, that our eyes are able to see the aperture in which we see the frequency that is within us, which is obviously the 3D, is what we experience now. But when the heart, in conjunction with your electromagnetic frequencies, all raise, and then you are able to feel, see, touch, smell, and taste the other dimensions. It's almost like the quantum mechanics in regards to parallel universes, that we are constantly shifting through parallel universes. So in a sense, it is the same thing. Kelly, would that be right in saying that? Can you relate the parallel universes to the dimensions, Kelly?
Yeah, absolutely. And even quantum entanglements.
Yeah, okay, right on.
And we've, science has proven that you can have two particles in the same space at the same time. So yeah, parallel universes. Yep.
Right on. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that would be all that I would have to add to this. Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing. I think things are just more, I want to say, in a sense, amplified, in a sense, more vibrant, and at the same time, more subtle. Um, I think the higher dimensions you are able to reach, things become more telepathic too. There's a whole lot less verbal communication, and things are communicated through basically telepathy, in knowing, and you can feel the plants, you can feel the animals, and vice versa, and you can feel nature and everybody around you in the higher dimensions. You really get the taste of the oneness. I think you get the full effect that into the eighth dimensions and beyond. So that would be all I have to add.
Thank you so much, Caesar. Beautiful. So I had started this session by saying the synchronicity of things that Summer asked that I get Lakshmi to record some mantras, right? And we don't know 3 months back or 4 months back. I don't even know if this was January or February. I'll have to look at the timestamp on the video to see when she asked for this. So a question asked what, 6 months back? So this is August. If it was in February, it was 6 months back. A question asked 6 or 5 months back telepathically was actually related to an event that happened. When did I discover this? On Monday. It was related to an event where I had the epiphany that I don't need to ask Lakshmi to record a video. I actually have her video already, right? You're talking about something like that telepathically somehow Summer knew that that video was that co-creator, and that's why I call them the co-creators, and I call everyone that comes around to do this Facebook Live Q&A. That's where the humility and the respect for everyone that is here arises, is because they are co-creators. We don't know why they're asking the question. And then we realize, and I've noticed that about the responses as well, it'll be that the person asking the question and our response will not match them, but a third person will come back after we are done with the Facebook Live. A third person will come back, read the response or watch the video, and then respond and say, oh my God, I really needed that, right? So we don't know why we are responding, who we are responding for, but it is at that, I think the multidimensionality experiencing, in India, it's called siddhis, the levitation, being able to levitate, walk on water, right? Psychic, being psychic, the mediumship, all are elevated, I feel, raised vibrational frequencies abilities that you get once you raise your vibrational frequency. That's what you're saying, right, Caesar, when you say that the telepathic frequency increases. These are all frequent, all telepathic experiences.
Yeah, and I think that becomes more evident when you're around people of, of the same altitude. When you have such raised frequencies and you encounter somebody or a group of people that have all raised their vibrational frequency, that will become more evident and very apparent. Um, there's a couple gentlemen that I work with, and it is the telepathy is there. I'll be thinking of something like, man, I need him to go get me, and he'll just go to the truck and get it, and I'll turn around and it's right there. And this kind of stuff just happens all day long, and it's awesome. But I found that when you're with a group of people, April could probably validate that, how when at some of her events, that when there's a lot of people like herself, and she's in that zone or the mode, um, with a few others, gifted people, that telepathy and things of that nature are probably pretty dominant within that group. Yeah, April. But yeah.
Thank you. And then the other multidimensionality, the way Seth says, is we are not in, back to your parallel universe analogy. And I don't want to, like, having concepts and talking with words is actually not really what we should be doing. We should be experiencing it, right? Raising our vibrational frequency and seeing how we connect, and raising our vibrational frequency and seeing if we can connect with our past lives or our future. Seth says we are, in an instance, we are in 7 dimensions, right? In 7 lives. So we are connected. He doesn't say it may be 4 past lives and 3 future, or 1 future and 1 here, and the other are 5 past lives. It could be a variation of how many future lifetimes we are connected with and how many past lives. But the point of power is in that presence. The point of power is in that present moment that we connect with. And I kind of, he calls it moment points. I kind of feel like the connection is through our chakras. When we raise our chakras in alignment, then we connect with and that's why it's 7 chakras and 7 lifetimes. How could those 2 not match? Right? That we have 7 chakras, and so somehow there's some correspondence between our chakras and our lifetimes, whether it's past or future. I have not reached to that level where I have connected to my past lives, but I am beginning to remember my dreams. So hopefully in one of my dreams, I get to know what is a past life or a future life. Somebody was saying something? You were saying something?
Yeah, I don't want to cut you off. Finish what you were saying first, please.
I'm done. I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, that is awesome. Dreams will get you there. I just wanted to say, while we're on the subject of vibrational frequencies and how to elevate them, I can just give you a little advice out there that in order to do so, first of all, you have to be fully honored in the present moment. So your presence power really comes with being fully grounded and fully present. Within that says that you are grateful for this moment and everything that this moment contains. Now, if you can add the element of excitement to that, which can also lead you to the next moment that is very exciting, this will initially raise your vibrational frequency, and it is constant throughout the day. When you can have this exciting or excited mentality, excited attitude, so gratitude, and just be excited. It doesn't have to be about anything. Just be excited. Be excited to be alive. Be excited that you are on this planet. So if you can just find a way to be excited about things, and obviously gratitude, while you're in the present moment, think gratitude, think abundance, think excitement, and your vibrational frequency will continue to grow as long as this is on the forefront of your mind in the present moment. But it is important, first and foremost, to be present. That's all.
Thank you so much, Caesar, for that pointer. So, April, do you have any ways of raising vibrational frequency? I know Caesar gave some pointers. I'm going to check the.
Caesar's example is awesome. It's one of the, best ways, being grateful, having gratitude, and going back to like the test issue. When things happen in life, Caesar mentioned this. I don't necessarily see them as tests anymore. Life ebbs and flows. It goes up, it goes down. It's not a personal thing. So, and if by chance heavy thoughts or whatever might come in, gratitude is a practice that will always lift your frequency, will always create some sort of peace within you. I do meditation myself. One of my favorite things to do, because I'm so busy, and I don't have, I'm not Deepak. I can't get up at 3 and meditate for 5 hours. I just can't. I'm not getting up at 3. Sorry, not doing it. I'm just not doing
I
it.
thought you woke up at 4.
I'm not waking up at 4 either. Not doing it.
All the magic happens at 4 o'clock, though.
I know. I am aware. I've heard it. But seriously, you can come to me at 6 when I get up. You don't know. But because I am so busy, one of my favorite things to do is to listen to the sound meditation, the Hertz. I can do that while I'm doing dishes. I can do that while I'm driving, mopping floors, typing a letter. I can do that most often. I can do that numerous times a day. So that is probably one of my biggest ways, is through the sound meditation.
10,000 hertz. That's what Caesar posted. So is there, like, when you feel that you are at the peak of your psychic abilities, what have you done on that day to achieve that?
Okay. So in the course that I have a course where it teaches you psychic ability. And I know that there's many, many people out there that have a course like that. I teach a specific meditation that I walk through every single time I do a reading. That meditation, when I teach it, it takes, 10, maybe 15 minutes to go through it. But because I've been doing it for so many years, it takes me like 5 minutes. I can run through it. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm opening my energy centers, I'm clearing them, I'm adding white light to them, and I'm walking all the way through. I'm opening my channel to source. I actually create a psychic room in my energy field, and I bring in my guides. I bring in my spiritual teachers. I run that energy all the way down to the center of the earth. And, some people say hook it in or link it in. Mine's actually almost kind of like a suction cup, like I'm right connected, just right all the way up through God's source, all the way to the central sun. And then I also add in, I open up my Reiki energy, my Amadeus energy. I'm very specific to my guides that they must be very clear. And one of the secrets to this is, Abraham Hicks talks about this a lot, because when people ask me to develop this psychic course, I had to think about it for a minute. What do I do? Because my ability isn't something that, it was basically like just one day, I went to a couple psychic fairs with my mom, because my mom was really big into it. And these psychics kept telling me that I was psychic and I should be reading them. And I was like, okay, right, sure. So it was basically like, hey, you're psychic. And then all of a sudden, bam, I was like, okay, I'm psychic. And it was just there. It was like instantly given to me. So I had to develop it after that. But, what I do is I step out of the way. right? My beliefs, my ideas, I'm out of the way and I'm allowing, in a sense, source to just channel through me. Eckhart does the same thing where he says, I don't know what I'm going to say. And sometimes that happens here on the panel. That's my intention when I'm on the panel here, is for me to get out of the way. But to do a reading and for me to not have any bias in it, for it to be accurate and honest, which is my biggest goal, is that I'm going to give you the most honest reading I can. I have to step out of the way. So those are the things that I do surrounding with the white light, but it's basically opening that channel through meditation. I also, while I'm doing that, I will also have on the sound meditation that will open the pineal gland, um, you know, the energy centers, all of that.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, April.
Mhm.
Kelly, did you want to talk about how would you raise your vibrational frequencies? And Caesar and April talked about it. I know you do Qigong, so that's going to be your method, but short explanation.
Well, back when I used to channel, I used to do exactly the same kind of meditation as what April just described. And that was sort of, and I also spent years doing Zazen or Zen Buddhist meditation. I've spent years training and doing Tibetan Buddhist meditation and using mantras. There are, I mean, one of the main things that I use now is I use invocations and decrees by invoking my I am presence. And even though I do Qigong, they're not exclusive. They're actually parallels, because in Chinese Qigong and the advanced levels of Qigong practice, one of the things that you do is you recite prayers to change your inner script. And in Bagua specifically, the meditative practice of walking the circle, you're supposed to recite the prayers of the four virtues to remind yourself and instill those virtues in your energy system. And one of the things that I realized is that my system, my energy responded a lot better to English than Chinese because I don't speak Chinese very well, and I could feel how my mind was always like, well, am I saying this right? Is this the right tone, the inflection? Because Chinese is very complex. It has an exceptional phonetic structure, the way Hindi does, if I'm right. And one of the things that I started doing is I started incorporating the use of I am presence, or just saying I am love, I am love, I am love, or I am light, I am light, I am light, I am light, and repeating that over and over and over and over again until I felt resistance in my mind, and then breaking that resistance by continuing to say I am love, I am light. And to me, that is actually one of the simplest tools in my toolbox, but is also one of the most profound and one of the most effective because it is so simple. And I'm getting goosebumps here just talking about it. Ooh, cute. All right. Yeah, that's sort of like one of the basic things. Just changing. That was an interesting download. That just using the words "I am love" or "I am light" is the single most common thing that I use every day. I have more complex invocations where I invoke, the principalities of light and the Elohim and the archangels and various layers of levels of the hierarchies of light and stuff like that. And, again, it always comes back to I am love, I am love, I am love, I am light, I am light, I am light. I can do it doing standing stake. I can do it sitting. I can do it while I'm driving. April, I listen to the neural nets, to the hertz as well when I'm driving or when I'm just writing or something, because there's something that you can have in the background. They're having a positive effect on your energy field. It's awesome. I love them too. Some of them are really, really cool with the way that they layer sound and stuff like that. But the reason why I keep going back to I am love, I am light is because the inner script that your ego wants you to keep repeating, the judgments, the fear, the anxiety, they can all be broken by repeating I am love, I am light over and over and over and over again until you create enough momentum and balance out that fear and that disconnect from that space.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And April, you have a comment from Ken where he says, thank you, April. Self-reliance has to surrender. Thank you. Ken seems to be connecting with the panel today. He always does. He has a very sweet heart. And what I feel is another way to raise your vibrational frequency is to meet in group meditation. We have an incredible experience during group meditation. So I don't know what happens. Especially, I noticed, especially when Louise, Gracie, Lakshmi, Eileen, when they're like the core group, Christina, when the core group is there, somehow the vibrational frequency rises and somebody says, somebody from the group attending will say, I don't know what happened today, but it was amazing, right? Like, or Marla would say it was an amazing experience. And we would have played the same sound over and over again in the past. We've been doing group meditation for the past 2 years, but somehow I have a feeling we are, that's a way to raise vibrational frequency as well, right? When you connect with people repeatedly, like I feel this panel is that way. Like we've been meeting for a year or more than a year. Now, like our vibrational frequency, just seeing each other, it's like it rises. So Caesar, do you want to say something, closing remarks?
Yeah, just start each day with gratitude. When you open your eyes, don't let that thought rush in. Try to have just that simple word on your mind throughout the day, and make it to get it practice until it becomes your very nature, all day, every day, and your life will just be divine and bliss. End each day with gratitude. When you're in your slumber, just before you fall asleep, get into that frequency of gratitude. Therefore, you can marinate over the next 8 hours, as Wayne Dyer would say. And when you wake up, pick it back up. As soon as you open your eyes, don't allow thought to rush in. Just find that frequency, find that gratitude. Keep that on your mind as much as possible throughout each day. That's a beautiful way to live. Spread love. Kelly, I love the love and light, man. That's awesome. There's big healing within that, for sure. And in transcribing, when they're doing a healing, it's the same thing. That's what we conduct.
It's super simple, and there's some real power in the
It
simplicity.
is divine, and then because it is so simple, and the repetitiveness of it, it becomes very believable. And once the person on the other side who is getting the healing recognizes that, and now they're saying it,
Yes.
and they're not really there,
Yep.
that allows the healing to take place. And because in that sense, I am love and I am light, there is nothing that is going to get in the way of that perfect divineness of whatever is through love and light, obviously. So I really appreciated that. That was beautifully said. Thank you. And I'm grateful for this panel and this opportunity, and for everybody that participates, Lakshmi, and just everybody. It's awesome. It's beautiful.
So Candy says, I look forward to joining this panel every week. It's a healing process for me. Thank you. There couldn't be a better way to end this session. I am so deeply humbled and eternally grateful to all of you. April, Kelly, Eileen is left for the day, and Caesar, and everyone out there that has been online, Lakshmi, Ken, Christina, Candy, whoever has responded on the post. It has been a beautiful session. Many blessings. Have a fantastic day. We will meet again next week, next Wednesday. Okay. Thank you. Take care. And come up with some questions next time. It's not always my turn to ask questions. Y'all come up with questions. Have a good night. Thank you. Bye.